The Pentax 17 is wildly overpriced compared to the other half-frame cameras out there. That's why I was so confused when Ricoh announced it. They were like, film's expensive. Let's make a half-frame film camera. Yeah! We'll charge $500 for it. What? Listen, people are gonna see it on social media, they're gonna buy it, they're gonna post about it on social media, and more people are going to buy it. You're a genius! And then 8 months after launch, Ricoh pauses production, and I have a speculative video that goes over what I think about that situation. And if you don't want to go watch that video, I'll give you a spoiler. The Pentax brand is dead. The social media plan would have worked in 2018 when Nishika N9000s were selling for nearly $500, but times have changed. But we can still dissect the thought process behind what Ricoh was trying to do. They were trying to target people that were concerned about the cost of film. With a half-frame camera, you're going to get twice as many shots and theoretically reduce the cost of each frame by half. So following that train of thought, how is the $500 Pentax 17 appealing? There are multiple used half-frame cameras that you can buy right now for less than $100, a few of which have comparable specs to the Pentax 17. And my problem isn't with the camera. I don't want you to feel bad if you own one, and I don't want to dissuade you from buying one with this video. They're actually doing a pretty good job of holding their value. You can buy one used, use it for a year, and then resell it, and basically come out the same as if you did that with any other camera I'm going to talk about. My problem with the Pentax 17 is the thought or lack thereof put behind the design, the market research, and the advertising. Expecting it to blow up on social media didn't work. They sent out review copies, the embargo was lifted, the videos were published, and then all interest in the camera died. That's Ricoh's fault. They couldn't do something as basic as categorizing the camera correctly on Amazon. It's embarrassing. Someone from Ricoh created the Amazon listing. I've created quite a few Amazon listings in my time, and you get to select the categories that the item shows up in. They chose the disposable camera category. For the market they were targeting, I don't think they were wrong. Do you? Disposables are better for first-time film users than dropping $500 on some mediocre camera. For a fraction of the cost, you can get a dozen, and then all of your friends and family can have one to shoot with. They're easy to use, and the built-in flash is going to help you get that Y2K film look. They answer the question of, do I want to spend the time and money dealing with film? Are you going to mail it off somewhere? Are you going to take it to a local lab? Are you going to develop it yourself? How long is it going to take to get your images back? Do you like them? Are you willing to jump through the hoops involved in shooting film? Lots of people don't stick around after the novelty has worn off, and with a disposable camera, you send it off and that problem is gone. You're not left with a $500 shelf decoration. Another camera that's going to check the boxes of what a new film photographer is looking for is the Kodak Ektar H35. It's all of the top film point-and-shoot cameras on Amazon, and it came out 2 years before the Pentax 17. The Ektar H35 was designed and released by Ricoh. Previously, they had released the Ricoh 3D, which was a triple lens camera that took 3 half frames at a time. It came out right at the trailing end of the Wigglegram fad. I briefly had one and I wasn't blown away with it, but I did want them to release another camera. They did, and as far as I can tell, the Ektar H35 has been a smash hit. I think a big part of that is because it's the cheapest half-frame film camera you can buy new. The Ricoh Auto half isn't, but I do want to bring it up because Ricoh is the third owner of the Pentax brand. The second was Hoya. Can you imagine if instead of celebrating the Pentax brand, Ricoh just went ahead and released another camera in their own GR series. It's not like they're some of the most popular street cameras for both film and digital. Anyways, there's 8 versions of the Ricoh Auto Half. It's a cute little camera from the 1960s and 70s. Ricoh is so proud that the aperture could be set automatically that they put it in the name. You get 2 shutter speeds, 1/30th and 1/25th of a second. I wouldn't want one due to the lack of features, but I find it funny that the 25mm f2.8 lens has 4 elements in 3 groups, while the traditional Pentax 17 lens is 25mm f3.5 with 3 elements in 3 groups. Why not call it a triplet? That's what it is. Traditional is something I would expect to see on a Scamera. Combine that with the distance scale and it doesn't scream quality to me. In fact, I feel kind of insulted by the choices they made. The Diana Mini has the ability to switch between full and half frame. It's like getting 2 cameras in one. Though I have never been impressed with any of the Diana cameras, as they have the quintessential toy camera build quality. Expect light leaks, glare, optical defects, and just mediocre image quality overall. That should be the expectation, as the appeal is the cheap plastic lenses. That's great if you're into lomography. My one piece of advice would be to make sure to get a flash included if you buy one. Otherwise, you're going to have a tough time using the camera indoors. The Agat 18K is a Soviet camera that was made from 1988 to 1991 in Belarus. It has a 28mm f2.8 Industar lens with 4 elements in 3 groups. The 2-blade leaf shutter has speeds from a 65th to a 540th of a second. That's 4 stops, which is better than all the cameras I've mentioned so far. It has a hot shoe, which is one of my top ones for a camera. It doesn't have a light meter, so it doesn't need batteries. If you don't have a light meter, or let's be honest, you don't want to carry around one with you, you can use another camera or an app on your phone. The real drawback is that it's a Soviet camera, so reliability and build quality are going to be iffy. I think it would make a good conversation piece. It only weighs 120 grams, so it would be great +1 camera to take with you. I previously had a medium format Lubitel 166B, which took 6x6 photos. It also didn't have a light meter, but what really annoyed me was the lack of slower shutter speeds, and that experience basically fulfilled my need to use Soviet cameras. The Lomo LC-Wide is loosely based on a Soviet design, but it has been redesigned and manufactured by Lomography. What makes it special is that it can shoot full, square, or half-frame images. It has a super wide 17mm f4.5 lens. I'm not sure what it crops down to for the square or half frames because I could not find that listed anywhere. Apart from that, the shutter goes from bulb to 1/500th of a second, and it only weighs 220 grams compared to the 290 of the Pentax 17. There are other versions of the camera sold by Lomography. One shoots medium format film, but I had an LCA Plus, which is a full frame 35mm camera. The earlier versions without the Plus were Soviet made. They are cheaper and you do get a smaller ISO range. I would consider the LC Wide or LCA Plus as the closest direct competition to the Pentax 17, considering how similar the specs are. An attention grabber is the Kyoceria Yashica Samurai X3.0. I can just imagine that the person that came up with that name spent a lot of time going out at midnight, flying down a highway on a motorcycle. It looks like a camcorder, and that is by design. It was meant to be used with one hand. The lens zooms from 25 to 75 millimeters, and the aperture goes from 3.5 to f4.3. It uses 49mm filters, which are going to be easier and cheaper to find than the 40.5mm filters that the Pentax 17 uses. But it's not like you're going to use any filters on the Pentax 17 because you can't see through the lens, so you're not going to be able to adjust a circular polarizer. The Konica Recorder has a cool retro look and it comes in multiple colors. It's from 1984, so the specs might not be what you're looking for. The 24mm f4 lens is fine, but the shutter speeds go from 1/60th to 1/250th of a second. That just means that the built-in flash is going to be putting in work indoors. The ISO can be set to 100, 200, or 400, and I'm not sure if you can get around that with exposure compensation. It weighs 250 grams without two AA batteries, and once you put that in, I think that the weight is going to be similar to that of the Pentax 17. Considering how expensive they are, I would want manual controls. 5 Canon Demi models were released in the 1960s. The 1966 Demi E17 was the most advanced and most popular model. What's impressive is not the 30mm f1.7 lens, but the fact that you could get it with black, red, white, or blue leatherette. It can do bulb to 1/500th of a second, and you can set the ASA from 25 to 400. It'd be nice to get 800 or 1600, though I did own a Canon FT-QL, which was also released in 1966. I was surprised at how much I liked that camera, even with the stop-down metering. The only downside was the weight. It was a bit heavy, and that is carried over with the Demi models, with the EE17 coming in at 320 grams. The Olympus PEN series are the most well-known half-frame cameras. Various models were sold from 1959 into the 1980s. The one I always think of is the PEN F because it had interchangeable lenses, but it was followed up by the FT and FV. Other models had fixed lenses. There are so many available that you can easily find a good deal on one, and I don't necessarily feel that way about all of the other cameras I have mentioned. And I feel that that is important to point out because the high point of half-frame cameras was in the 1960s. Once Rollei released their tiny little full-frame bodies, that really killed off interest in half-frame cameras. But thankfully there are so many PEN Fs around that they can be harvested for spare parts, so you can still easily get these cameras serviced. With the Soviet models or the cameras that just didn't sell as well, you might have a tough time finding someone that is able to service them or do repairs. Another interchangeable lens camera is the Konica Auto-Reflex half frame. It has the ability to switch from half to full frame. That's an awesome feature, but you completely lose out on any kind of weight savings. The body alone weighs 720 grams, but you can stick any AR lens on it. And Konica made some fun lenses like the 52mm f1.8. There's also a 57 1.4, and these are widely available. They were very popular at the time, and Konica really pumped out both the bodies and the lenses. And for like $15, $20, you can get an adapter that will allow you to pop these lenses on any mirrorless body out there. And while I referenced the Nishika 8000, it would not be my choice for a lenticular film camera. That would go to the Nimslo 3D. It has by far and away the most features of any 3 or 4 lens camera. And since the Wigglegram fad is far behind us, prices have come down and are very reasonable now. While there are fewer Nishika N9000s out there, I do think they are better than the N8000, mainly because they're smaller and they don't have a metal slug in the base of the camera. So they lose that premium feeling, but they're lighter and easier to carry around with you. I still don't think I would buy one over a Nimslo. So that does it for all of the half frame cameras I could think of and that you can reasonably go out and find. There are of course more models, but they can be in shorter supply, more difficult to find, or more expensive. Let me know which ones you're interested in, or if you would pass them all up and go straight to the Pentax 17. I appreciate you watching. Please subscribe, and if you haven't already watched it, go check out my video on my thoughts of the pausing of production of the Pentax 17.